is funding Sesame Street a judicious use of soft power?
Can you tell me how to get global propaganda out? Yes, we can. Use USAID, and then you can get $20 million of US taxpayer money to fund Iraqi Sesame Street. Is that what you need? In the middle of the Maui fires, or the California fires, or Katrina, or the various disasters visited upon America? Oh no! The storms have come! Won't someone please get me an Iraqi version of Mr. Snuffleupagus? Let's have a look at how USAID has been funding propaganda around the world. For a while now, you might have been thinking, how on earth are these neoliberal propagandist tools of the state being funded? Who's reading New York Times? Who's reading Politico? Well, the fact is, no one's reading them, and they're being subsidized by you, the people who hate them and who they hate. Normal Americans are dumb, stupid, racist, rapists, misogynists. Can we have some of your tax dollars, please? It don't come cheap, condemning people. Also, kids in Iraq really need to see Bert and Ernie, but like Muslim versions that are, oh, wait a minute, that's going to be complicated. Let's have a look, first of all, at your man Trump calling out Politico journalists, to their faces. This is the kind of confrontational Donald Trump that I think catharsized a lot of our anger at the government. One of the things they don't get when the government's being torn apart from within is that most of us hate the government, and with good reason. Mind you, maybe you could make the arguments when it comes to them social justice warriors that were pulling down statues and all that kind of stuff. In a way, they were trying to express a similar rage at secularized power operating within spiritual dominions. Let me know in the comments and chat what you think about that talking point. Let's have a look at Donald Trump calling out Politico journalists. Come on, say it correctly. I mean, I'm funding it by paying my taxes. I might as well say it right. Whether you like Politico or not, you're funding it. Whether you like the BBC or not, you're funding it. BBC gets not only taxpayer money from the UK, or the license fee, which amounts to a tax. It's kind of tax. It's not voluntary, is it? Is it voluntary? No, it's a tax then, isn't it? It's a tax, right? Not only that, they're getting USAID money. They're getting your money from America at the BBC. What do they do with that? They pretend they care about you while making you dumber, while controlling you. The license fee should be scrapped. USAID should be scrapped. These systems of propagandization should be scrapped. We should decide for ourselves where to get our information. But who's going to protect you from Putin's butt-butts? Who's going to protect you from Putin's butt-butts? I'm going to use my own discernment, granted to me by a limitless cosmic force, that don't need to be brokered or negotiated by you, you corrupt scum. Let's enjoy Trump taking on some Politico journalists.
Do you see what happened yesterday, where they found hundreds of millions of dollars of money was fraudulently given to newspapers and, I guess, Politico? I don't know, they're here. Good, I hope you're enjoying your breakfast. No, they gave money to all this out of U.S. aid, right? USAID. It came out, hundreds of just tremendous amounts of money, had nothing to do with anything. This is a terrible thing that was experienced, but we're catching them left and right. We're catching them. We're catching them to a point where they don't know what the heck is going on. They can't believe they're getting caught. And I have great respect for the people that are doing it. Elon Musk is helping us on it, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Pretty good at it, but the numbers are astounding. They're astounding. Even Doug was shaken up by what he heard.
Let's have a look at journalist Aaron Mate, who could hardly be called a stooge of the right, on some headlines from the legacy media, in this case Washington Post. Independent media in Russia. Ukraine lose their funding with USAID freeze. Independent media in Russia and Ukraine have been critical of their governments and provide alternative reporting, but much of it relied on US grants. We're calling it grants. It's actually state funding for Russian and Ukrainian media that is probably antithetical to their sovereign and democratically, inverted commas, elected governments. I mean, you could maybe argue that Putin is a dictator. So Aaron Matev says, Washington Post headline, independent media in Russia, Ukraine lose their funding with USAID freeze. The headline should be, US state-funded media in Russia and Ukraine lose their funding with USAID freeze. Because what was happening is the pretense that that information and that USAID as an entity was for you, for your benefit. But actually, was it for your benefit, or was it supportive of the interests of the powerful? They lost their mandate because they had no principles of any value or worth. I'm talking about the entire Democrat Party-oriented left. It's not just in your country, it's in my country too. They're phonies, they're fakes, they're liars, they're taking your money, claiming they're using it to protect you, when in fact they're using it to control you. That's why the pandemic era was so revelatory, because it was the biggest sting they ever tried. Oh no, you're in so much danger. So much danger. Yeah. And of course it just emerged from nature. And we've got a vaccine that's really, really effective. And isn't bad for you. Doesn't cause vaccine injury. And then we can discuss it freely and come up with scientific conclusions about whether it's effective, and you can report openly on whether or not it's had We all saw how big tech behaved. We all saw how the legacy media behaved. We all saw how big pharma behaved. We all saw how the government behaved. We know now that they are liars. And now it is unfurling and unfolding before our eyes. We are being revealed truths that were deeply concealed and sometimes so preposterous as to seem fictional. Literally, $20 million of taxpayer money was spent on bringing Sesame Street to Iraqi children. Well, we have to bring Sesame Street to Iraqi children, otherwise, look, come on, guys, stop lying to us. Here is a CNN pundit who likely himself or herself is the recipient of USAID funding, claiming that we need, more than anything, Iraqi Sesame Street. Won't somebody please? Like sometimes I wake up in the day and I'm like, oh no, who's propagandizing Iraqi children?
Is funding Sesame Street a judicious use of soft power?
Well, Michael, the way you put it is the way I hope folks considering your poll today will think about it. This isn't just funding a kid show for children, millions of children in countries like Iraq.
Will you tell me how to get Iraqi children to believe in our globalist ideals?
It's a show that helps teach values, helps teach public health.
Values? Values is not an objective thing once you don't believe in God. You could have values that are like, well, I want to have sex with as many people as possible. You could have values like, I only want to eat sugary food. Unless there's a divine principle, there are no values. And these globalist corporatists believe only in control. And of course, they can't come out and say, we want to control you because it's better for us to be able to control you. So they have to say, we're controlling you because we're going to help you. You don't know the difference between good information and bad information, do you? Can we help you? You don't know the difference between good food and bad food and good gods and bad gods. Why don't you let us do your thinking for you? Why don't you get in your house? Why don't we insert a chip under your skin? Why don't you take this medication? Why don't you shut up? Why don't you read what we want you to read? Why don't you watch Iraqi Sesame Street? Well, maybe because I'm awake. Fauci has been pardoned and Bobby Kennedy is in a position of power. RFK is now going to unearth what most of us already knew about the pandemic. This effort won't help the tens of millions who have never felt the same after getting the virus or the mRNA shots. We all know someone with a personal story about their COVID afflictions. Pfizer has been forced to release a detailed list of side effects associated with its COVID-19 shots. Sadly, some of these issues, like myocarditis and blood clots, are creeping up on people in a blink, causing debilitating issues. A less severe but common concern is long COVID syndrome, a condition that leaves people feeling brain fog, chronic fatigue, and shortness of breath, lingering for months and in some cases years. The wellness company make it easy for you with their new long COVID syndrome support. You get 4 doctor-formulated nutraceuticals with 5 to 8 plants and minerals in each bottle, designed to address the root causes. Ultimate Spike Detox, Mind Lift, Elevated Energy, and Healthy Heart. Dr. McCulloch recommends a durable recovery through holistic health. Explore targeted solutions like long COVID syndrome support. Right now, you can save $40 on the bundle and get an additional $23 off plus free shipping. Head to twc.health/brand and use the code BRAND. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow. This is a new America. It's time for a new you with long COVID support. Click the link. Take advantage of our discount.
Helps prevent kids from dying from dysentery and disease.
If your best method for stopping children from dying from dysentery is Big Bird, then you are in a lot of trouble, son, because I bet Big Bird will probably give them avian flu. Oh no, we've got an avian flu outbreak in Iraq. It was caused by Big Bird. Everyone get inside your houses and pay us more taxes.
And helps push values like collaboration, peacefulness, cooperation in a society where the alternative is ISIS, extremism, and terrorism.
Okay, what caused ISIS? Let's spend 10 seconds or so thinking about that. America and American foreign policy caused ISIS by getting involved in wars that were none of America's business, for which many, many brave American men and women lost their lives. Hundreds of thousands of Iraqi children lost their lives, and it was all based on a total lie. And the people that told you that lie, that amplified that lie, are wanting you to listen to them again right now. Wow! Will you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? They want you all living on Sesame Street because they think you're dumb kids.
And to your point, it's pennies on the dollar.
Just a small amount of money, we can propagandize children in Iraq. I don't mind or care what Iraqi children are thinking. I prefer, if you love Iraqi children so much, how about stop bombing them? Stop getting involved in their country's politics. Back off.
The U.S. Department of Defense has an annual budget of about $850 billion. USAID was spending about $30 billion. It is a small proportion of our total federal spending.
That would work great if FEMA hadn't been such an unmitigated disaster for the entirety of the Biden administration. If we hadn't seen Americans suffering, American schools in decline, American roads full of potholes, sort that out, then maybe we'll start thinking about children's entertainment in the Middle East.
And as Joe Nye would often say, it's not just soft power, it's smart power.
Ugh, you filthy propagandists. They think everything's a catchphrase, don't they? What if we say it's not soft power, it's smart power, like a smartphone? Everyone loves a smartphone, which we ironically also use to propagandize everybody with messages that are detrimental to their quality of life. Yeah, smart power. People like smart things, right? No, people like dumb stuff, man. Dumb stuff like this filthy propaganda that we're paying for ourselves.
Let me leave you with one other quote, Michael, if I could. Jim Mattis, who is a 4-star Marine Corps general and Trump's Secretary of Defense in his first term, in a hearing back then said, if you slash development and aid spending, then I'm going to need more bullets for our troops.
I am a 4-star general, and I know that wars are only won by Big Bird Snuffleupagus and Bert and Ernie. Missiles, yes, they can do a certain amount, but eventually you need Sesame Street. And why stop there? Why not revive Degrassi Junior High? How about a whole fleet of shows? Why not bring Bosscat and Scooby-Doo to Iraqi children everywhere? The most sensational Top Cap try to get you all close friends get too like this, where it's gotten out of hand. Like when looking at the various crises, wars, and radicalized militia that have emerged from the Middle East, if you think the problem is that there hasn't been sufficient provision of USAID, then you are really wildly and radically missing the point of American interventionism in order to service corporate interests. And start questioning right now what US taxpayer dollars might be being in Ukraine and where those weapons might be ended up and what the relationship was with USAID when it comes to Ukrainian media. I am not suggesting, and why would anyone care if I did or didn't, that Putin is, Putin's an imperialist, he's a warmonger, whatever. I wouldn't want to live in Putin's Russia. But what I'm more interested in is the misuse of American minds and money in order to support globalist corporatist agenda. And USAID was clearly at the very forefront of their propagandist ideology. They killed God. They have no values. They have no principle except control. They don't believe in you as an individual. They don't believe in your nation. And we have the same problem in my country too. Surely, Lord, we must rise up against them. Surely we must attune to the highest possible frequencies that grant us individual sovereignty, community control, and the ability to serve one another and love the planet on the basis that all things are sacred, not their crazy, profane, disgusting ideology. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat?
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.